lives now. Born, tuned in with K.O. to born.
Thank you. Welcome to the show. We have an amazing show for you tonight. We have three amazing guests who are here to share their experiences about marriage and love. So without further ado, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back. Thank you. It is said that love conquers all, but is love really enough? Today's question, is love enough to sustain a healthy, vibrant, loving, lasting relationship? Well, we have our guests to answer that. Our first guest is Derek Parks. He's 40 years old. He's been married 16 years, and he's here to share with us his experiences about his marriage. Please, let's welcome, put your hands together for our guest, Derek Parks. So how are you today?
Everything is well.
Good. Derek, you've been married for 16 years and you're only 40 years old.
Yes, sir.
So that's half your life.
More than that.
Today's question, is love enough to sustain a healthy relationship?
Most definitely.
Okay. Seeing that you've been married 16 years, do you find that to be true?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Can you please tell me why?
Well, I been married for 16 years. I have two beautiful children, 12 and 9, and I cheated on my wife for years. And for all of those years, she had an idea that it was happening, but she never really knew. And until I got saved and delivered, I came home and confessed all of those things to her. So it changed my life forever, and love is enough.
Okay. Well, that was brave of you, Derek. The fact that you, was it a marriage retreat that you went to find this out?
Actually, it was a men's retreat with our church.
Okay.
And when we went to the church, we had to do a few things to open us up to realize that we had to change. And if you wanted to serve God completely and fully, you have to basically write these things down.
You said she had an idea.
I mean, most women have an ideal. Their sixth sense is true. And most of the time, in any relationship, a sixth sense is true. So usually if you have that feeling, if you believe in love enough, or as well as believe in God enough, that everything can change. It will. It definitely will. And it was years of foolishness to have me come out of it.
So you had a good wife on your side.
Great wife.
Great wife. But you still and yet you cheated.
Mm-hmm.
At what point in the relationship or the marriage did you cheat?
Well, it actually started as we were dating. If there's so many different women out there and they give you the opportunity, and that's not a crutch and that's not an excuse, but when that particular person is not there for you for whatever reason, because you can pick any reason for that person not being there to do whatever you want to do. Because in James it says the sin that's already in your heart, you're already going to do it. It's just a matter of if you're going to trust God to kind of pull you out of it. But then when you don't have people around you, or you're not surrounded by the right people, then it kind of throws everything like way off.
So you say the sin was in your heart. Mm-hmm. Married 16 years, and what, was it the 10th year, 3rd year? What year was it that you decided to cheat on your wife?
It wasn't even a year.
It wasn't even a year.
Because I had went into the relationship cheating, so it was something that was normal. But a lot of people believe that once you get married, it's going to change things. Only God can change those things. Only God can separate you from your sin. But you have to be willing to give some things up in order to get that. So I was willing. I was at a place in my life where I was honestly tired. I would go out in the middle of the night and be like, okay, what really am I going to do now? Okay, I got a list of numbers to call, But I'm kind of like, I'm tired of this. It's the same old, and you got 15 plus years of foolishness. I'm talking before married, and then once you get married, you have all these years of foolishness, and then you want to change, but who is really there to help you change if you're hanging out with the same people?
Exactly.
So you have to step away from that. But how do you step away from that? The problem is, if there's nothing there to help you step away. This is an amazing story, and it always blows me away. The reason I went to church was because I wanted my kids, and I have 2 daughters, I wanted them in a Christian school. By me wanting them in a Christian school, the school required for us to be a member of a church. So I went to go be a member of a church. God knew completely different. So when I went to church, then the pastor was talking directly to me, and on the 3rd time going, I changed.
So, Derek, you say it took a year after your marriage that you cheated on your wife.
It wasn't even a year.
Not even a year.
Correct.
But this is your 16th year. The marriage retreat took place when?
It was a men's retreat.
Men's retreat took place
It's actually going on 6 years. Actually going on 7 years that I've been free, clean, clear, no cheating. Everything.
So when you divulged this information to your wife, what was her first initial response?
She was hurt. She was super hurt. We sat up. I came home from that men's retreat, and actually I had went on it was either the 2nd or the 3rd retreat. And after going to that 2nd or 3rd retreat, I came home and I said, this has been burning me since the 1st retreat. So when I came home, I said, I got something to tell you. She says, I already know. She said, it was in my spirit. So when I got home, we sat down. I got home at midnight. And I told her, and from that point on, the next morning we went to church, we worshiped, we prayed, and we just had to work at it every day, every day, every day, every day. And every day we still work at it.
I'm curious, when you told her, was there anything she told you in return? Maybe did she feel that because you was not there totally with her, maybe you was doing something, did she feel that maybe she used her time to spend with someone else or a friend or a family member?
She did. She actually spent time with family and friends, but she also went outside the marriage. But that was only because of what I was doing. But it wasn't even a matter of what she did. It was all about what I did. Because you have to remember, in a household, the man sets the standard.
That's right.
The man has to set the standard. If he doesn't set the standard, then it leaves room for the enemy. Because it's not saying the woman is degraded by being first in the household. There are some things that a woman can do better than a man, and that's just how things are in life. Because sometimes a man is not financially perfect, a woman is, or vice versa. So what you do is you pick up the person that's the most strongest in the house to do whatever needs to be done. It doesn't change the role of what the man is supposed to do. Even if the woman is better at taking care of the bills, a man still has to sit down and they have to talk to know what's being paid out and why it's being paid out, so you're on the same page, because someone can't spend more than the other. But when you go back to what you were initially asking of was she hurt? Yes, she was. She was very hurt. I was hurt, and the conviction was so heavy on me, it took me years to come out of it. I'm talking like almost 4 years for me to come out of it. So it was a process, but that goes with anything in life. It's
And
a process.
we as men, we have a difficult time when we hear a woman cheat on us. So the fact that when you heard that she cheated on you, what did it make you feel like?
I deserved it.
You deserve it.
Because of what I had put out. I mean, how can I be upset with someone? How can you be mad at you having a car accident and you're consistently running a light? You're the cause of the issue. You caused the accident. So why are you mad? You hit my car. You ran a light. You consistently running the light. It's only a matter of time before you crash. So you can't be mad.
As we all know, deceit is something else. Are you over it? Is she over it? What kind of, well, do you all have any problems? Or do she continue to bring it up?
That was one of the things. When I came home, I asked her, I said, if you want to leave me, I have to accept it. Whether I want you to leave or not, I have to accept it. If you leave, I have to accept the consequences. I said, if you stay, I said, that's just something I asked that you just don't ever keep hanging over my head. Because if that's the case, I don't want to be here. because I have already got enough conviction in my heart for what I've done. I don't need someone hanging that over my head. So I promise you that I'll be the God-fearing man and act the way that you wouldn't even think I would act, but God knows my heart and God knows how I'll act, and it'll please you because I have to please him first, and he's got to please you. So I told her, I says, whatever it is, don't hang it over my head because I can't deal with that. But if you, whatever you want me to be, whatever you want me to do, as long as it's in God's will, I'm in. So, and everything's been great.
Sometimes in relationships, we tend to let others inside. Did you allow outside influences to affect your marriage?
Outside influences actually started before I got married, and that was in a negative way. But a lot of times I actually had learned, which I should have learned my lessons before I got married. We had got into an argument before we got married because of outside things. So I should have learned a long time ago before I got married that shouldn't have been.
So if there was one thing you wanted to share with the audience or the viewers out there, one thing.
Just one thing?
Just about infidelity, how not to do it, how it has made you a better person, or what would you say to them?
First and foremost would be seek God for guidance on everything. And everything else will fall into place. Not a false God, not the things that we make a God of, but the real and true living God. Trust and believe in him for everything that you do. If you're looking for a significant other, if you're already married, if you're thinking about getting married, if you're thinking about getting divorced, seek God first for your answers. Because if once you do that, everything changes. Everything changes.
Thanks, Derek, for being on the show. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with the next guest. Y'all want some more of it?
Born, building our relationship.
Welcome back. Our next guest to the show is Corey Bailey, age 38. Corey's been married and divorced. He was married for 9 years. But Corey's excited about getting married again. Without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage, to the show, Mr. Corey Bailey. How you doing? Please have a seat. So Corey.
Yes.
It's good to have you here tonight.
Good to be here. How y'all doing?
Corey, you've been married 9 years.
Yeah.
But divorced.
Yeah.
And you're looking forward to being married again.
Oh, yeah.
So Corey, you know, those divorced say they'll never get married again.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
But your first marriage didn't work, so why do you want to do it again?
Because one of the things that I learned in my first marriage is what I wasn't. So for me, knowing the responsibility or more of the responsibility that I have, and now that I have an identity, I'm ready to share that again. I'm ready to share it the real way.
You said you wasn't.
No, I wasn't.
What were you?
I was an imposter.
Oh, wow.
I was what everything around me was. You know, I didn't grow up with the family, you know, with the husband and wife and the white picket fence. But however, I had a stepfather and a father, but neither one of them could show me how to be a man, let alone a man of God. So for me, I just grew up and I saw what I saw and I just picked up what I wanted to pick up, and I made decisions based off of that.
Corey, 9 years of being married. Mm-hmm. What was it like?
Well, for me, it was actually, I thought, pretty good. You know, I thought I was doing, I'm just, you know, I thought, you know, I was playing the role well. And, come to find out, she wasn't happy. Yeah, she told me that, what really got me was that my mother had passed in 2005. So prior to her passing, I found out that my wife and my mother had been talking. My mother didn't really trust me with the information about her sickness, nor did she trust my stepfather, because in actuality, she was taking care of both of us. So she did not think, I don't think she thought, that we could handle it. So she confided a lot into my wife.
Sounds like Corey was a mother's boy.
Corey was a mother's boy. I was one of the best mama's boys you ever seen.
And you know, what happens when you get married, it's supposed to be all about your wife.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that she had a problem with that. Do you think that she was a bit jealous?
Well, see, now, if she was, this wasn't something that she told me. However, I didn't do the typical mama's boy thing. Like, I didn't always go run into my mother. It was just that I was just so nonchalant because I always knew that she was there. So for me, I was like, you know, and I'm not confrontational. Look, I'm whatever. Go ahead, dude. Okay. All right. Hey, Ma, look here. Let me get a cup of honey. You got to pay something real quick. Yeah, I get back. So it was the things like that that I would do. So it wasn't like I was really mama. It was just that if a predicament would come, I would just be like, hey, Ma, let me hold some. All right.
Corey was an imposter, so I guess my question would be, who are you now?
Oh, let me tell you about this man that I am today. First of all, I can say I'm a man. And I'm not a man based off of how much money I have, the cars that I drive, or the women that I've slept with. I'm a man because of how I seek after God. See, the fact of the matter is, he is the creator. He created man. So who else can tell you how to be a man than the one that created you? Now that I have that floor plan, now that I have that blueprint, I am a man of God now. So I've dedicated the rest of my life into letting people know, don't make the same mistakes that I made, not just in marriage, but period. But a lot of it was in marriage, though.
Corey, she left you?
Yeah, what she said was that she was tired of putting up with me not getting it.
What is that?
Well, see, here's the thing. You're waiting for me to become something that I didn't know how to become. But you got tired of waiting for that, so you left.
So, what was it like when you all first came together? What was the dating like before you got
Man, the
married?
dating was off the chain, man. What you talking about? Let me tell you something. One of the things that drew me to her was that I had a crush on Mary J. Blige. And for whatever reason, she just reminded me of Mary J. Blige. So I couldn't get married. So, how you doing? You know. So, and we all, you know, we both sung in the Black Heritage Gospel Choir in Northeastern Illinois. So it genuinely started as a friendship, and it was good. We talked about everything. We communicated. I met her family. She met mine, which was much smaller. South side, west side. It didn't matter. It started off good, but it all went awry from that time we slept together for the first time. That's when the hit the fan.
I know a lot of people say sometimes if you go into the bedroom too soon, that can create a big problem in your dating.
Of course.
How soon did you all decide to take it to the bedroom?
Well, it was a surprise to me. I was just there. It happened. We met in August of '92. That the Thanksgiving of that same year is when I got lucky. I don't know what y'all. We had our first encounter, our first moment.
So would you say that was the problem?
Of course, it was the problem because the rest of the relationship was actually based off of that.
Okay.
So for years, and a lot of us make the mistake of thinking that what we have here sexually is enough to base an entire relationship off of. But the reality that I learned was once you have sex for that time, the sex for us men, you know, our process is an interview process. I give an analogy of if a relationship is going to be 100 questions, your first 80 questions should be the good stuff, you know, like, you know, what do you like and things of that nature. The 80 to 20 should be the questions about the, you know, how you like it and what color is, you know, you like. That's what those questions should be. But what happens is we as men, we get a little premature and we ask that question early. So when we ask that question, let's say at question 20, that means you have 80 more questions that you have 80 answers you're going to base a relationship off of the first 20 questions. So in other words, when you have sex, it stops you from learning about who the person really is. See, if she would not have slept with me, she would have learned that I was a mama's boy who didn't know how to manage money, who really wasn't good with responsibilities, who lied. Dressed good, smelled good, but that's because my mama bought it, you know what I'm saying? That's what you would have learned if you would take time to talk to her.
It sounds like Corey never got a chance to get to know his ex-wife. So the fact that you said that you want to be married again, you're excited about it.
Yeah, because I believe that God has given me a better interviewing process. The fact of the matter is, I know I'm not having sex until after the wedding. You know, my honeymoon gonna be for real. Yeah, we going on tour.
So you ready to get married again?
Man, let me tell you something. I'm ready to get married again, but it's not my focus. You understand what I'm saying?
Where are you right now?
Right now, it's about my two beautiful children that are back over there chilling. How y'all doing? And you know, I'm an actor. I'm a comedian. You know, I have a gift. I can't deny it, and a calling.
You know, it's important when two people are married and they have children and they split, sometimes it creates a stir up in the home. What's the relationship like with your children, their mother, you, and the children, or both of y'all collectively? What is it like?
Good question. Well, here it is. Let's just go ahead and real talk. As long as I'm not confrontational, as long as I don't say anything to rock the boat, she's fine. But as soon as I begin to say something or do something that rocks the boat, we're going to have a problem. Now, that's something that I had always been running away from because I was unemployed for a long time and I was not even able to pay my child support. In the eyes of her, why don't you go to Walmart and get a job? I hear what you're saying, but and not that anything is wrong with Walmart. For me, I can't do it. So for a minute, I was sitting there and I got lazy and I got content in this. I wasn't able to do anything. So in that, okay, I can't really say nothing then because you're doing everything. You providing for them. You buying the clothes. You taking care of me. You the residential parent. But now that here I am, God is allowing me to finally come into my own. He's allowing me now to do a thing called pay a bill. You know,
that's important.
Shop for clothes. You know, that's stuff that I used to. Not that I took it for granted. It was just when you don't have any money, and then you looking like, oh, I like that suit, but I can't buy it. So now that I'm able to just do certain things, and now I'm budgeting. I was never a budgeter. Who said budget? I never budgeted. So now, you know, it's a stretch for me. But see, this is the thing about God. He wants to stretch you. He wants to make you uncomfortable because now you have to solely depend on Him. So now because I solely depend on Him, He's saying, Corey, I need you to step deeper. The Bible says the deep called out into the deep. So now I'm in the deep. No clue. I can't swim. But I believe in God. And I trust Him now.
Okay, Corey, you're 38. You say you used to be an imposter.
Yeah.
You didn't show the person who you really were. You now know the type of woman that you would like to be with. What type of woman would that be, Corey?
You know she got a bowl. And I don't mean just bowl anyway. I mean, look, she has to average at least 180 or higher.
Why does she have to bowl? What's so significant about bowling?
Because I bowl. And the last thing I need is somebody asking me, because I figure like this, if I bowl and I love to bowl, I'm going to bowl probably 3 or 4 leagues a week, all right? Now, my thinking, this is just me, y'all might want to pray for me. If you bowl as good as I do, who's on my team?
That's a good way to look at it, Corey.
If I come home, the last thing I'm going to worry about you saying is where you been.
So you just want someone that's going to be on your team. That's all you
Man,
want.
come on, man.
And she wants someone that's going to be on her team.
Yeah, when you bowl, man, I'm trying to tell you it's a blessing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on the show, Corey.
Thanks for having me, man.
We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with our final guest. Welcome back to the show. I'd like to bring out our final guest. Our final guest is Dana Gordon. He's 40 years of age. Dana is the author of a book titled No, Not Her. Without further ado, let us bring out Mr. Dana Gordon. Good. How's everything, Dana?
It's good.
It's good to see you.
It's always a pleasure.
Good. Dana, you were married 9 years.
Something like that.
It's a long time. But you're only 41. Right? So you got married early.
I thought it was late.
Thought it was late. Dana, your wife left you because you could not provide her with the lifestyle that you once could.
Right.
Since you have a situation like that, do you think it was love? that
Love for what I
sustained
could
your
do.
relationship with her?
It was love for what I could do at the time.
And what was that?
Provided what she wanted. Material this, material that. Image.
So you had a wife that was about, give me the bank.
Roll.
So did you know that when you first met her?
I didn't care.
What when you was looking for a wife? Because
I wasn't looking for a wife when I
you
met her.
wasn't looking for a wife. So why did you marry her?
Because then I was ready for a wife. We had 3 kids before we got married. And God had spoke to me, and He changed me up. I wasn't even ready for that.
So 3 kids before you got married. Let me ask you this: did you love your wife?
Still do.
You still do. It was all about the bankroll. You had 3 kids before you was married. What happened?
Gotta ask her that. I don't know. I'm still me. I still love her. Will always love her. Just don't want her.
But where did it go wrong? It went somewhere down the line it went wrong. Something went wrong somewhere.
Well, probably instead of having 2,500 in your pocket, you got maybe 200 in your pocket. Instead of Louis, it became Ooey. So it switched up. My heart was still the same, if not better.
At what point did you learn that she was that type of person? Or did you
And she
always
said
know?
we're going our separate ways. Actually, before then, when she started bickering a bunch about money, I had no clue about that.
So you had all this money. What kind of work did you do?
I used to hustle,
Hustle? What is hustle?
sell drugs, anything I could, basically, except myself,
So when you met her, she knew that you sold drugs.
without a doubt.
So was she that type of woman that like guys who was flashy, flamboyant?
I think I was the first flash she got. She ran across. I called her when she was young.
Do
So
you think she loved you?
she loved what I could do,
She loved what you
what I presented. And I showed her things she had no clue about. So I enjoyed it.
What was your upbringing like, Dana?
Great.
Great.
Mom and daddy, awesome. Awesome. Grew up like a millionaire in a 3-bedroom house.
And then you wrote a book.
2.
Wrote 2.
Right.
Wow. The book titled No Not Her. What is that a book about? Just give me
It's a
little-
book about behavior. It's a book about what we say. Well, I had asked a few guys, what don't you like about what women do? I listened to a little bit of it, but I had enough experience, so I wrote it from my own experience. But I
So
ain't
that
like-
book, is it about her or other women?
Some of her, of course. Some of her.
Because I had the opportunity of reading your book.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think it's an amazing read. I think that you spoke how you felt. At first, when I first started reading the book, I was just kind of like puzzled, like, wow, he's really beating the woman up. But what I saw was you actually spoke from your heart what you thought, and you was basically saying what men want, what men need, because men need and men want as well. You made it was an excerpt in your book about love. You said your mom said love is just not about feelings, but it's about commitment.
Right.
What was commitment? What was your commitment like to her?
To death do us part. I can't do any better than that.
Commitment is you doing everything that you're supposed to do, making sure you stay in the home. Did you always stay in the home, or did you move outside the home? Meaning, did you ever step out on her?
When she told me to.
She told you to.
When you're going to be stingy and tell me, go get it from out there, I know how to do that. I came from that.
Wait, let's go back. You say she told you to do it?
Yeah.
So, what does that mean when you say she told you to do it?
Find you somebody who's going to be happy with you making the money you're making.
So that's what made you step out on your wife, your ex-wife.
And they were waiting.
Wow. So when she told you and you did it, was that it for you all?
She didn't find out. She's probably doing it. Probably, more than likely.
Well, how your kids handling this?
They're great. We spend time with them every day. I spend time with them every day. As a matter of fact, all last night. Love them. Got 3 girls, love them.
So where are you today, Dana? Where are you today?
Peaceful.
So
Straight.
it doesn't bother you that she left you for money?
She making room for me. Somebody gonna take me.
What does
I'm
that
not even
mean?
worried about it.
What does that mean, Dana? Where are
I'm
you
a
at?
prize, bro.
Where you at today? You're peaceful, but where are you at today in your heart? Would you like to be married again?
I'm gonna be married again.
So, knowing that you've already had this situation, are you afraid for it to reappear?
God don't give you the spirit of fear, Kenny. I'm not scared of nothing. Nothing. I already been through my fears.
I know being out there in the
No, actually, getting divorced, didn't want that as a child growing up. I had a dream that I felt like she took, because I said when I get married, I didn't want to get divorced.
Sounds
So
like-
I've been through my fears.
sounds like this was the first. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like this is the first woman who ever hurt you.
Nah, it just was so long ago. It was just a long gap from high school up until I became an adult. But it was a dream breaker. That's
So it took a
all.
lot out of you when it happened.
You sure it did.
What brought you back?
God.
God.
Mm-hmm.
So Dana, knowing that you've written 2 books, and I'm sure you're speaking from your heart and your experiences, and there are probably many people out there watching this show who are probably going through the same thing, or who may be getting ready to go through it, but don't even know it's coming.
Right.
What would you share with them if you had to say something?
Man up, go through it, believe God through it all, get your wisdom, leave what's bad behind you and grab what's good and take it with you.
Because you're not going to let one woman stop you from doing
Why would I do that, Kenny?
Okay. That's what they need to hear. That's
Why
what
would
they
I
need
do
to
that?
hear.
Can't let one person stop me from doing what I gotta do. Not 2 people, not 3, not 4, not 5, and on and on.
It's a good feeling to be at peace, isn't it?
Beyond your understanding.
Well, thank you so much for being
Yes,
on
sir.
the show, Dana.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with our relationship experts, and we'll see what they have to say. Welcome back. We have the Hendersons, our relationship experts. They've been married 34 years and provided marriage counseling for over 25 years. They also have written a book, and they do speaking engagements on relationships. So without further ado, please help me welcome the Hendersons. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, as you have seen, you've heard from my guests. Some believe, some don't, that love sustains a healthy relationship. Please, can you share with us your thoughts?
Very interesting. In fact, we've heard 3 different segments, and I think that to go back to the very first thing that you asked each one of them was love, in terms of that being enough to sustain the relationship. And I think that the thing that I love about my wife and I, that we're able to have very candid conversations, because we don't always agree on everything, but I think that's what makes the relationship sweet. But one of the things that I think that we concluded is that love can exist without a commitment, but you can't necessarily have commitment without love. And that's the reason why when you think about what each person has said, that yes, each one of us as we went through life, we probably all started out with puppy love. But if you started out with puppy love, love was not necessarily that puppy love relationship that you had. That's not necessarily the person that you decide to get married to, because that was considered to be just a transient, temporary love. Because love has different stages to it. For those of us who know the Bible, we know that there are different kinds of love: phileo love, agape love, eros love. You've got all different kinds of love, but they all are not necessarily the same. But we do agree the fact that it's important to be able to have commitment in order to stay in a marriage. We too, as we heard each one of those stories, we heard ourselves in each one of these kinds of stories here in many different ways. But we knew that as a result of all the mess that we went through in terms of our relationship, that without the commitment on each one of our part, we could say that we love one another, but it doesn't mean that we would have stayed together. Because if you think about it, how many people will often say in a relationship, I love you, but I just can't live with you? So that's the reason why you can't just have love to sustain a relationship. That's the reason why commitment has to be most important.
Okay.
And I think couples do say that whenever it constantly, the first thing is a husband or wife will say, I love them, but I'm not in love with them. So there is that love. But I think that women, and I'll speak for women, I believe that most of these wives went into the relationship having that sixth sense that the other person spoke about, knowing, or sixth sense that the man I'm marrying has some flaws. But most women think, if I get you to the altar, A-L-T-A-R, once we get married, I can alter, A-L-T-E-R, our relationship to what I want it to be. And a lot of women go in thinking that I'm going to help, my love will help shape him to what I think he needs to be. But in reality, women don't understand when they get married, you're to help him be what God's called him and created him to be. And we forget that along the way. And so I do think that, and love changes. I think, if I think 30-something years ago, we went to the altar, my love is completely different today. And it has endured many things. It has more things to endure. And so love and commitment have to go hand in hand. And it's my love for God. It's your love for wanting to be obedient and wanting to do the right thing that really helps sustain you also in your relationship.
Okay. So we've heard from three of our guests, all three of our guests, and all of them pretty much feeling the same. They were hurt, but they're in a better place now. What kind of advice would you give them in terms of what would they do so this won't reappear, so they won't feel like they have to do whatever they did before?
One of the things that I think that's most important about relationships, and because that when you get involved with someone, you're giving your heart, and your heart is the key to who you are. But I think that I like what the second gentleman was talking about, the interview process, is that unfortunately in most relationships, we don't go through enough of the interview process prior to getting involved in a final relationship. It's almost just like football, that when you think about football, they do a lot of time vetting their players before they assign them to a team. They watch them. They go to the school to see how well they play. They get all statistics on them to see how important this player could be to our team. So they've studied that person. And even the Bible talks about getting to know someone, And when you talk about being intimate, intimate is about knowledge. And even if you slow the word down, the word intimacy says, into me see. Because the fact that it says, look inside of who I am, get to know me. But unfortunately, we rush to the bedroom, we rush to the altar, thinking the fact that we've got this long-term relationship that we're going to have with someone, but we've not taken the time to study them. We've got to enjoy them in the good times, but did we have enough of the bad times to really see her when she's on her worst day or when he's on his worst day? To see him when he doesn't have any money, to be able to see him when he has lots of money, because on the other side, maybe they started out when he had no money. Well, maybe he was a humble person, but maybe if he got a lot of money, then was he going to be a cocky person? So it's a lot of different facets, and as Patrice said, we change, we evolve, and if we don't understand that about marriage and relationships, then we'll all be lost. Because you know what? She's not the same person that I married 34 years ago. And I know she says, thank God I'm not the person that she married 34 years ago. So.
Many people think that something is wrong with counseling, whether it be premarital, marital counseling. What happens when a person finally divorces? Do you suggest that they go some sort of counseling afterwards to deal with the issue?
One thing I suggest is that for any couple that's divorcing, that they ought to get some counseling. And basically, they're always afraid of, if I go to counseling, I want to find out what my flaws are, and that should probably make me want to stay in the marriage, or it will keep me in the marriage instead of I just want out. And so I really believe that counseling is very important, so you won't take that baggage to the next relationship. Let me find out what I did first and this wrong in this relationship, so in the next relationship I can start off with another cleaner slate. And so a lot of couples and a lot of women I know who are divorcees are very bitter and angry, and they take it to another relationship. And I would suggest, if you're going to remarry anybody and she's from a divorce relationship, that you all both get some counseling to see where you missed the mark in this other relationship, so you can start off with a fresh one. And even for the children, I think counseling is really good. And I have a lot of my friends who've gone to counseling and are much better individuals today and are ready for marriage. And some have already gotten married and having a better time the second time around.
What I hear a lot is counseling is very important all throughout the marriage, because things do happen. My last question would be, if you have these three guys here, if someone wanted to seek you for counseling, would you be available?
Always. We believe that someone helped us.
Yes.
That in the very beginning of our relationship, we too had a very rocky start, because I was 23 years of age when we got married. She was 22. So we were very, very young at the time, immature. But someone helped us during our darkest time. And I believe the fact that God has given us this as a ministry to be able to allow us to go through almost every facet of what other people have gone through. So I believe that God has even shaped us. Sometimes I hate that He shaped us through so much stuff, but I believe that He's done it so therefore we could be a blessing to other people. So yes, we're always available to be able to sit down and talk with people. But one of the things that we'll tell you, and that's what we like about your show, is the fact that you've allowed transparency.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that men fail to be, is transparent. but that's at the same time because we've not been taught to be transparent, because sometimes women don't like our transparency as well.
True. That's exactly right. Well, you guys have been exactly what we needed, relationship experts. I really appreciate you for joining our show today. Thank you so much. Well, I have one last thing to say. I still have Dana Gordon here. I'd like for everybody out there to please go to Amazon.com, get this book, No Not Her by Dana Gordon. I promise you, you will enjoy the read. It's something that we all can read, and we will find ourselves inside of this book. I read this book within 1 hour, and I promise you I could not stop it once I started. So please, go out and get Dana Gordon's No Not Her, Amazon.com. Thank you. I'll be back with my final thoughts.
Born, building our relationships now.
Welcome back. And now for my final thoughts. You just heard from 3 men opening up, releasing, and revealing pain, real pain. It's difficult sometimes, but somebody has to do it. Pain is something that we all like to sometimes juggle with. You have to ask yourself, is it love or is it pain? Which side do you want to be on? Well, having the experience of being on that pain side, I wouldn't want to be a part of it. Love is something we all must learn what that word means. It may only be a 4-letter word, but that word is larger than life. You've heard these men talk about their marriages, which is so important, so sacred. It is important, not just about dating, but even when you're married, it's about making a commitment. Stick with that commitment. 20 years later, he's still standing strong and proud. Magic Johnson, that is. 20 years ago, he announced to the world that he was HIV positive. One of the deadliest diseases, one of the deadliest viruses. Now, his wife, Cookie, she was not only his friend, she was not only his girlfriend, his wife, but she's his confidant, she's his everything. And guess what? She stood by him. She stood by her man. It's about us standing together so we can be who we need to be, live how we need to live, be proud and stand proud. I tip my hat to Magic. That's something brave. Many men out there, most of you, are afraid to open up that wound. We all have been hurt some kind of way. Peel it back. Because a woman cannot do it without you, and you cannot do it without her. So I ask each and every one of you out there, learn from Magic Johnson and Cookie and her and the entire family that it can be done. Please, let's all come together. Let's love one another. Let's stop fighting. Let's stop killing. Let's bring our communities back. Raise our kids the way they should be raised. Adults to be leaders. So they could be maybe the next Obama, Oprah Winfrey. Just please, let's stop letting pain rule us. Once again, you decide. It's love or pain? Well, I choose love. So I just ask you, each and every one of you out there, believe in the healing. Last but not least, if you want to contact us, visit our website at www.bourneshow.com. Please reach out to us. Thank you. See you next time.